originally wasn't going to ask you this question, but I see the shirt you're wearing today.
Yeah, I
Um,
was going comfy clothes today. I was like, I don't know.
and so I'm going to ask you a Browns question,
Oh
and
boy.
I'm going to be seen as a hater. Cleveland fans are already on me that I hate the Browns and this and that. I get it. But Sean, in my opinion, and you may say I'm nuts, call me a hater if you want. I think at most this year the Browns are winning 8 games. And I don't see a playoff appearance anywhere in the world for the Cleveland Browns unless Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson both get hurt. Because I think that the AFC North is going to be Cincinnati's to lose. I am jumping them over Baltimore. Healthy Burrow, healthy Chase, healthy Higgins. The Joe Mixon loss doesn't mean a lot to me. They redid their offensive line, and their defense is going to be better than what it was a year ago. And the Browns have the toughest schedule in football. That back half is a murderer's row.
Yeah,
And
but if you can win that back half, I mean, you just have to win a good number of games on that front half. But I'll just say this. I think Cincinnati, there's going to be drama in that locker room this year. And I think that's going to end up, whether it's at one point of the season or the other, it's going to end up being what hurts them in the long run. I don't think Cincinnati's going to the Super Bowl. I think they are definitely a playoff contender. I think they can be a Super Bowl contender, but can they keep every one of those egos, especially all the drama with Higgins, and there's some drama, I believe, on the defense. One or two guys want to have a rework there. Yeah. If they can't shut that down and have everyone focus in, I think Cincinnati could end up being slightly disappointing. They're still going to be a team that I think will be 500 or better, but I don't know if that's an interesting one. Like with Cincinnati, like I disagree with the Browns thing. I think the Browns, especially if the defense is able to replicate anything kind of close to what they were able to do. Obviously, I think you can do better on the road, but I think everyone's not taking into account that with a team sport like football and your Eagles, you saw what happened with some of that stuff this past year. The team chemistry in the locker room is such a big component. And when you have guys who are not working together and who are not just on that same page, willing to sacrifice for each other, and this goes for any team sport, even if it seems more individual like baseball and whatnot, if you don't have that, then you got a team that's going to be, good, but they're not going to be elite. And look, Cincinnati's got elite talent. I'm not saying you're wrong on Baltimore. I'm not saying you're wrong on them. They are a monster. They just can. They've just been able to be lucky with their talent evaluation and be able to continue to do that well. But Cincinnati is going to be the wild card of this. I know we could say, the Steelers with Russell Wilson or Justin
oh,
Fields.
I think
I
this is their
don't get.
first
I
year.
know I'm not going to. I'm
This
not going to.
this is the first year that they will finish under 500, and
I hope so.
I don't give a rip if Mike Tomlin signed that contract extension. I
Yeah.
honestly and truly believe this will be his last year as the
Yeah.
Steelers head coach.
But
I
as I
think.
said, though, I think
Go ahead.
Cincinnati, though, I think you have to figure out like if that locker room is still splintered at all as you get into the regular season. I don't think that's going to be as successful a year down there in southwestern Ohio as many people might think.
See, I just think if you give me Joe Burrow, I'm in every game. I sort of feel the way about Buffalo, but Cincinnati's roster is just better. Like Buffalo, I don't know what to make of the Bills. They lost so many pieces on both sides of the ball. I want to be high on the Jets, but Aaron Rodgers off doing ayahuasca and God knows where during mandatory minicamp. I don't know.
All I know is that if he just does that and then he comes in and just performs, then no one will complain.
He better be an MVP candidate this year. He
Oh
better.
yeah, he better.
I mean,
You cannot blame though the him for the Achilles tear. I'm blaming
no,
it's the
but
curse of MetLife. That's
but
how
I
you
can
know.
blame him for hey. It was leaked that the Jets wanted to fire my hand-picked offensive coordinator. That I should be a mandatory minicamp because I'm the leader of my football team and I only played 4 snaps last year and I need to get chemistry with these guys because the Dolphins can't play in cold weather. New England is a disaster. Buffalo's looking like they're trending down. This is the Jets' year.
Yeah, yep, and that's gonna be interesting because I'm definitely curious to see if that ends up going well at all.
So let's put it this way. I alluded to New England a little bit earlier. There were six
Mm-hmm.
quarterbacks taken in the first
Oh,
round of the 2024 NFL Draft. Caleb Williams,
6.
Jane Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix,
Oh
JJ
my God.
McCarthy, Bo Nix. 6 quarterbacks taken. And I think there's only one of them who landed in a bad situation. And I think it's Drake May.
Mhm.
And I have
Yeah.
I feel bad for the kid. I didn't love Drake May coming out. You know my thoughts on Drake May,
Mhm.
but I feel like he landed in the worst possible situation he could. Maybe outside of the Giants. I think the Giants are a disaster too. Um,
Mhm.
but I do think, like, I think we'll talk about it in a second here. I love, and I don't say those words a lot about Chicago sports or the Bears in general, but I love what the Bears did. I think JJ McCarthy, with those weapons, if he doesn't work in Minnesota, he can't play.
Yeah.
And, Bo Nix in Denver, like, I think he fits in Denver with
Yeah,
Sean.
he fits. That's the one that's like that was the obvious fit for like him all along. It's like if you don't end up in Denver, I don't know what happens.
So
But can we just
hold
blast
on, no,
the fall down
hold
cons
on,
for the
no,
freaking Penix pick?
hold on. Let's get to him because if you want to blast him, I'm gonna tell you on draft night, we all sat there and we all said, what the hell is happening? But
Or
when you
should I
sit
say what the
back,
bleep?
when you sit back and you really think about it, Sean, I think you can make a case the Atlanta Falcons made the best investment in their franchise that they have ever made. Let me explain. So you signed Kirk Cousins to a 4-year deal.
Mhm.
Number one, we don't know if Kirk Cousins off his Achilles is going to be the same Kirk Cousins. We don't even know if he's going to be ready for week one. There's been no reports that he is definitively ready and go for week one. Number two, that 4-year, 150 million, however much it is, it really is a 2-year deal with
Yeah.
incentives. You're not going to get a 4-year deal out of Kirk Cousins. And I
No.
get Michael Penix, who does have injury history, and I get it. And he's a little bit older. But
Yeah,
also,
that's my problem is the age with Penix. It's like if he, let's say, even if it's 2 years from now, he takes over, he's going to be basically like what Brandon Whedon age. Like, how long do you have as the Falcons to, you know, go through that rookie contract? Number one, and number two, it like it is a smart move because you have a more mature guy. There's less growth, kinda, if you get what I mean. But at the same time, it's like how if you go from Cousins to Penix, if that uh handoff ends up being successful at some point, how much run do you get out of Michael Penix? Because it's like I don't know if he'll have a couple of good years and then fall off once he hits his 30s. Like I'm not worried about the injuries per se. I'm just worried about just does he fall off too early and then that when they sign him to extension around the time when he's eligible, does that make Atlanta basically regret drafting him? That's the only part where it's like it could be the smartest move ever, or it could be also the biggest flame out.
can I make the argument that there's less kids on quarterbacks ever? The game is more offensive than ever. Guys are playing longer than ever, and that he's got a very good offensive line. He's got Drake London. He's got Bijan. He's got Kyle Pitts. He has a very good offensive coordinator in Zach Robinson coming over from the Rams with Raheem Morris as the head coach. Like, I think even if Penix sits 2 years, I could see him if he stays healthy being very good till he's 37, 38. I get a decade, 12 years out of him.
Yeah. I mean, it's just such an interesting pick. It's like you can see the pros and cons to it, but at the same time, it's like you could have gotten something else. Like I just feel like there
Yeah,
could have
but
been another
then
piece.
here's also the argument. If you don't go for a quarterback now and Kirk Cousins is good and he gets you to where you think he's going to be, playoffs, you're
Yeah.
picking in the 25s every year. Well, if he suddenly retires or he has an injury, well, then you can't draft a quarterback in the mid 20s or wherever you're going to be at. So this is your best chance to get one for the future is right now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Bo Nix wouldn't have fit that offense, but I mean, I was just still shocked that the Falcons took Penix that high. I feel like you could have gotten him a little lower.
Okay, so Fitz, I'm gonna throw something out there that I have thrown out there for the past few months. People think I'm absolutely crazy when I say this because this team is considered a Super Bowl contender. And I think that there's a lot of hype around this team. and rightfully so because they took a step up last year and they nearly went on a deep playoff run. But in the NFL, progression is not always the same. It's not the NBA where you go from the semis to the conference to the finals, up and up and up. You have up year, down year, up year, down year. It can happen. When I look at the NFC North, I'm saying, what do the Packers have that's the best in their division? Nothing. They
Maybe a
don't have the
cornerback. That's maybe about it.
they
I don't know.
they don't have the best quarterback. They don't have the best backs. They don't have the best receivers. They don't have the best tight end. They don't have the best offensive line. They don't have the best defensive line. They don't have the best defense, period. Maybe they have a good corner who's a grumpy, moody corner in Jair Alexander. All I'm saying is Jared Goff and the Lions are going to be really good again. Caleb Williams and the Bears, I can bet you every dollar in my bank account they're going to be a very good team this year. And I put money on them. They're going to be a playoff team with their
You think it's going to
schedule.
be Kyler Murray all over again, and I'm going to be smirking in about a couple months?
Hey, Caleb Williams is special. And you had DeAndre Swift, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet. You already have DJ Moore there. That offense is loaded. And they had a top 10 defense to Eberflus's credit, which is why he stayed once they acquired Montez Sweat at the trade deadline last year. And by the way, if JJ McCarthy works or even Sam Darnold plays well in Minnesota, Minnesota's weapons are phenomenal. So
Still think
I'm
the running
sitting
back core
here.
is just a little bit sus, though. That's a little bit suspect.
Listen, I'm sitting here and everybody's picking the Packers as a dark horse Super Bowl team. And I'm sitting here saying, are we sure Jordan Love's last 8 games were just magic out of a hat?
Yeah, I mean that's the part where it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. You
Like,
got.
am I crazy? I think they're good. I think
I
they're a
think they're
9,
good.
10
Yeah,
win team.
it's just hard because that's the first full year we got out of Love, and now we kind of have to, this is going to be year 2. It's like they're probably going to extend them. It's like what's who is the real Jordan Love? And once we know that answer, I think we'll have a very good idea of where this Packers team is going.
I'll throw you another team in the NFC who I think may end up being right there for the #1 pick this year. The Saints. I think they're a disaster. I have no idea what they are. I'll tell you one thing that could save that franchise if they have balls to do it. Start Spencer Rattler. What do you have to lose? Derek Carr stinks.
That's interesting when you mention it like that.
Derek Carr, and I defended him for years in Oakland/Vegas, but he looked completely lost last year in New Orleans. Alvin Kamara hasn't looked at the same back. Slant Boy can't stay healthy. Olave's decent, but he's not great. They have the worst head coach this side of Hugh Jackson and Freddie Kitchens we've seen in Dennis Allen. Like, I have no idea what they're doing. And for the record, I know you and others don't like Bryce Young. I kind of like what Carolina did, and I'm going to give Bryce Young a fresh slate. I'm not saying Carolina is going to be this great team, but 6, 7 wins for Carolina and an improved team, I think it's on the table. And I think New Orleans is the worst team in that division.
I mean, that's an interesting point to make. Still can't wash the taste of Carolina out of my mouth from last year, and I do agree that New Orleans is definitely a little bit on the down and down.
Here's what I think of the Saints right now. Ever since the Sean Payton era ended, they're like the Wizards of the NBA. They're just there. Nobody knows what they are. Nobody knows what they're doing. They're just there. They're they're a team.
I mean, that is honestly an apt comparison. I don't really have any. I don't know. Jeez.
By the way, that's what the Wizards have been ever since Gilbert Arenas left. And, they had one good year with John Wall and Bradley Beal, maybe. But I said this about the Wizards. They're an NBA franchise. I don't know what they are. I don't know if they have a plan. I don't know who's on their team, but they're an NBA team. Said that about the Hornets for years until, they've obviously made some draft picks the last few years. But is there any team, I think obviously we all kind of think Harbaugh and the Chargers. Like, I feel like they're going to take a big step up this year. Is there a team, either a good surprise team that you think's a little bit under the radar, or a team that people are high on that, you think could take a step back?
Good question. I
Because I'll
mean,
because I'll give you a couple others.
I
I
think Kansas City's going to take a step back because I think it's going to be too hard to three-peat. I think they're. I'm
I
not saying they're going to miss the
and I
playoffs, but I think they may struggle to win that division.
it's gonna be hard, and I'll tell you what, they've had a noisy offseason.
Oh yeah. Just let's say, Rasheed Rice, what the hell are you doing?
Well, not just
You
that, they
have
got defensive tackles getting arrested too. So
Yeah, but like that guy was on the up and up. Looked like everything was gonna go good. Then, dude, dude, get your life straight. Get the wrong people out of your life. Come on, like that guy is explosive, and it's like I could see him being out of the league in 2 years from now.
So I actually think our guy Austin Arnold and his Washington Commanders are going to finish second in the NFC East. I think they're going to be a sneaky surprise, good team with Jaden Daniels. Dan Quinn now is the head coach. Cliff Kingsbury is the OC. I think my Philadelphia Eagles, maybe it's a homer thing. I think we have a really good year. I think we bounce back. And I think Dallas is the team that declines because I did a top 10 list of teams that are most under pressure to win. Now, in all instances, it didn't have to be the Super Bowl. For Dallas, obviously it is, but I put Dallas at number 4 on the list because obviously this is Dak Prescott's last year of his contract, Mike McCarthy's last year of his contract. They didn't address the running back position at all in the draft. They have old ass Zeke who can't move from here to there, and they are a CeeDee Lamb injury away from having no offensive weapons.
That honestly, all good points. I want to hope that Zeke can have a rebound more so for the Ohio State guy and me. But I mean, now that you have me thinking about it, I mean, the Rams, that could be a team that doesn't really get off the ground this year. That I think people are forgetting about them.
Well, I'll tell you another one. Here's one. Austin Arnold. He also tried to convince me, and I'm not there yet. He likes the Tennessee Titans.
Oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
my
Listen.
God.
So so
Oh my
so think
God.
about it though. Think about who they added. I did not realize this. They already have DeAndre Hopkins, right? They added
Right.
Calvin Ridley. They
Mm-hmm.
added Tyler Boyd. They added Tony Pollard from Dallas, their starting back. Like they do have weapons. My question is, and I told him this, I think they're going to be what his Commanders were last year, which is they have good weapons, but Will Levis is going to be Sam Howell, and they're not going to win any games, and they're going to be a top 5 in the draft.
Yep. That is exactly what I'm thinking. Like you can
Now,
have talent, but it doesn't mean it translates to winning.
Now, for the record, I was the only person on the planet who actually defended them firing Vrabel because I thought they needed a culture reset offensively. And I like Callahan. And outside of Derrick Henry, and I get it, it was the general manager's fault, but something that's got to be on Vrabel too. I didn't know what their identity was the last 2 years. I had no idea what they were offensively. They were a pop gun offense. And so I do like the fact, and it's nothing against Vrabel because I think he's a good guy, but I do like the fact that at least they have an offensive coach. And you know how I feel about offensive coaches in today's football.
Yeah, I'll just say this though, the ownership in that situation, oh, blah, not good. I was so ticked off when I saw that Strunk wouldn't even answer for reporters, especially with all the stuff that was coming back out back then. It's like she went with the team website. I'm like, that that's just cowardly. Coward. I don't say that
Um,
often, and I don't like to say that in terms of this situation, but you make that decision. You don't just trot your GM out there to die. You go out there, you explain it.
so I'll throw one more thing at you. Some people are higher on Seattle this year than I am. I actually
Yeah.
think Seattle finishes last in that division. I think Arizona, from what I saw out of Arizona, I know here I go again on Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, but Jonathan Gannon, and Jonathan Gannon obviously in Philadelphia have a history. I get it. But I watched Kyler Murray destroy whatever this was in his ear coaching defense for my Philadelphia Eagle football team last year. This little pencil, Coach Pencil, and his defense. So I watched that Arizona team. I saw them play with pride. I saw Tyler get better as the year goes on. And for the record, I love Marvin Harrison. I thought it was a
Oh,
slam.
that's yeah, that changes that whole dynamic
Yes,
there. I mean,
yes. I
that
thought it was a slam dunk pick. So I look at Arizona. I think they're third. I like the Rams. A lot of people think the Rams are all the way back. I don't. I need to see another
yeah,
healthy year of Stafford. And the loss
I
of Aaron
think
Donald to
yeah.
me is huge. So
Yeah, you cannot replace that. That's a Hall of Famer right there. You're not going to replace that easily. I think Seattle or LA are going to be the last in that division. I think I'm leaning towards Seattle like you are.
see, to me, it's almost a Tennessee situation where it's like I like their weapons. They have Kenneth Walker, they have Lockett, they have Njigba, they have Metcalf. I don't believe Geno Smith is a franchise quarterback. I will scream it from the
He is
rafters.
not. He is basically Tannehill. That's what he is.
And by the way, in the NFC, that's undoubtedly getting better. That's not winning you 8, 9 games. It may win you 6 or 7, maybe. Like if you have a good coach, we don't know how
At
good
best.
Coach McDonald is.
Yeah. I mean, at best, it's. Oh, I mean, wait, hold on. Reset here. Pete Carroll, did he get fired? Because I'm trying to
So,
remember.
so he was relieved of his duties and
Oh, that is
parting of ways.
right.
So he was technically fired, if you want to be real. Seattle moved on. It was not his decision.
Yeah, that I almost forgot
Which,
about that.
which, by the way, I'll say this: Pete in the last few years, very rigid, a lot like Belichick, who we will not address what he's doing.
Yep.
Outside of the NFL world, if you get where I'm going with this, Sean, if you've seen that over the internet, um, but a lot like Belichick, very rigid the last few years. We can win with defense and toughness. And listen, here we'll end football with this.
Mhm.
I don't blame Gerard Mayo, and I know it was written in his contract for wanting that job, and I think he could do potentially a good job if given
Same
time
here.
in New England.
Yeah.
But if I was New England, I would have paid all the money in the world to try to get Ben Johnson or another young offensive mind. I think you needed to do a complete 180 from Belichick.
The enemy. Why? Why is that guy not hired yet? What is wrong with him?
Well, he didn't do that good of a job in Washington on his own. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but when you have Sam Howell like that and you still at least put up all those points that you were able to put up in a
In
number of those games,
garbage
it's
time.
I know, but still, it's like, what the heck are you supposed to like? He did the best he could in that situation, but also, why did Ben Johnson seem like why were these rumors floating out there? And I don't know how true they are or not about like all this control freak stuff about Ben Johnson. It seemed like if you remember anything, it's like what's it's like it
Well,
feels
he
like this offseason
apparently
would have been the perfect one.
turned down the Commander's job because he thought they were basketball player people. I think Magic Johnson was in there. I think Bob Myers was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.